Welcome to the Bella Vista Gardening Program. I am Jerry Horner, and joining me today again, coming back, is Lou Jasper, and she's a fellow member of the Bella Vista Garden Club and a fellow Benton County Master Gardener. And today we're going to be talking about the Holly family, not the Holy family, the Holly family. And so we'll also be talking about upcoming events and what we need to do in our gardens in March, because it's a new gardening year we're starting. Have to start digging in.
Yeah.
So, and some of the upcoming events, we got the Orchid Society coming up. They're having their Orchid Society of the Ozarks show and sale. They're going to sell orchids.
Yes.
And that's at the Botanical Garden of the Ozarks down in Fayetteville. And it's March 6th to 8th, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And we're going Friday night.
Friday
right?
night,
Okay.
yes.
And from Friday, it's open from 5 to 7:30 at night. And then Saturday, it's open from 9 to 5. And Sunday, it's open from 3 to noon. No, 8 to 4. 8 to 4. And they're also going to have some classes. This year, it's orchid care class.
Yes, and it's kind of a 101. It tells you
How to take
exactly
care
if
of
you
your
get,
orchids.
yes.
Tells you not to put ice cubes on them, things like that.
And,
So, yeah,
which they always say when you buy them.
yes, which is wrong. Don't put ice cubes on your orchids. That's not a good thing. And the admission is $7 for adults, $4 for children, ages 5 to 12, and I think under 5 or 4.
It's
They're
free.
So,
And they will see orchids that they don't even
oh yeah,
never
there's
seen
so
before.
many
They
different
just have-
orchids.
Yes,
you know.
and it's the show has a setup of displays of orchids.
And they're judged,
Just
right?
beautiful. Yes, they are
Yes.
judged.
So you can see which ones they judged.
Yes.
Number 1, 2, 3, or that
Yeah,
category. So
they do.
that'd be interesting. You learn a lot about
They
orchids.
do. They judge the exhibits, and then they judge the orchids in the exhibits individually.
Right.
So,
yeah. So a lot of these orchids are very, very expensive.
yes.
So
And the ones for sale, they're generally sold out by Saturday morning.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
be Friday night
It'd be the
and
best
Saturday
time to come
morning.
if you want to buy
Yes.
an unusual orchid. So, and then the Bella Vista Garden Club is going to have its benefit card party and game party on March 20th. It's a little later this year, but this is our 14th annual. I can't believe it's been 14 years we're doing this, but it's to benefit scholarships, the Dorothy Wallace scholarships.
Very important.
To the university horticulture students. And the reservations can be made on their website. It's bellavistagardenclub.com. And I think we almost have most of the tables sold, but there's a few tables left,
yes.
maybe. So we're limited to 50 tables, and it's $15 a piece. And they have wonderful food, as
They have
usual.
wonderful lunch.
Yeah, a lot of people just come for the food.
Okay.
They play cards just to take up the time. But anyway, it's a great event.
They have gift baskets? Or?
Oh yes, we have I think 10, something like that, 5 or 10 wonderful gift baskets in the raffles, and they're usually about the value is about over $200 in each basket. They're
Oh, wow.
wonderful baskets. Beth puts those together, and she does a beautiful job. Anyway, but today we're going to talk about hollies.
Yes.
And there are so many hollies and so many varieties. You can find some kind of holly to fit in any situation you're looking for. And they're just easy care.
Very easy care.
And they can range from 2 feet to 40 feet. And they can spread from 10 inches to 20 feet. So there's a big variety. And we mostly think of them as thorny with red berries, but they're not all like that.
No.
There's a lot of different
Many different shaped leaves.
shaped leaves, and some berries aren't red, some are orange, some are black, some are blue,
yellow.
some are yellow, yeah, orange. So anyway, there's a lot of variety, and we're going to show you some today, but they will grow in full sun or part shade, and if they're mostly in shade, they're not going to have very many berries, I don't think. So they like the sun, at least 4 to 8 hours a day, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, you know, the soil, they like their soil slightly acidic, and that's no problem here in Bella Vista. So we have a very acidic soil, and but they really do better than here than southern climates. They don't like the heat that much. and I think they need the cold weather too.
Some of them needs even colder. Some
Yeah.
of your native, and I'll
Yeah, they
mention,
do.
yeah.
They do better with all that cold winter. So, and they're separate male and female plants, although they look alike. They both have small white flowers. And sometimes you miss the flowers. They just, they're not very conspicuous. You know.
Yes.
And the females are what
Has
sets
the
the
berries.
berries.
They set the berries.
And they mostly have to be pollinated by a male.
They do.
So if you have just all female bushes in your garden, you're not going to have berries unless you have a male somewhere.
No, and 30 to 40 feet, they say, and generally we have, if you have other
If you have
people, neighbors that
yeah.
have hollies.
But if you're out there in the timber, like some of us, where you're at the end of the road and you don't have anybody near you, you're going to have a male and a
the
female.
birds try to help you out.
And the birds help a
Yeah.
little bit. The wind will blow some pollen sometimes, so, but you do need the male and the female. And we do have some pictures to show you of, I do have a picture of the male and female holly blooms. See, on the left is your male, and you can see the stamens coming out there where the arrow's pointing.
Yes.
So that's the male plant. And the female, it's, the stamens are just almost inconspicuous on the right and left side. So they're, that's the female. So when they bloom, it's best to probably buy your hollies when they're blooming so you can make sure what they are.
The
They're male or
to
female.
see, yes.
So, because sometimes they're not marked.
No,
You know, at the
they
nurseries.
they generally aren't marked.
And
You've
so-
got both. You just buy a holly.
Yeah, so it's best if you can buy them when they're blooming, if you know you need a male or female. So, and the
Or if they have berries on them.
if
in
you
the
have berries
fall.
on them, you know they're female, right? And then this is the first one. We have a picture of the inkberry gem box, and they're a slow-growing, broadleaf evergreen shrub with a rounded and upright growth. So. It's they have blackberries. They're called inkberries, and they have blackberries instead of red berries. So they can go 2 to 3 foot tall and about the same wide. You know.
And they're very look like a boxwood.
Yeah, they're very similar to a boxwood. Some people say they like these rather than boxwood because they don't like the odor of the boxwood, and I've never noticed any odor.
I do not like the odor of the boxwood.
I'd never
at all.
noticed it.
Yeah,
I
it
guess-
has a very distinct odor.
Really? I guess
Yes.
I never paid attention to my boxwood odors. But anyway, this does look like a boxwood. And then the next one we have is the inkberry shamrock. This is another variety, and that can get to 5 feet tall and wide, and it also has blackberries. And it's, but it's not the blackberries you eat.
No,
So-
you wouldn't want to eat
No,
it.
you wouldn't want to eat them. The birds eat them. And it's rated as a zone 6, so you have to watch your zones too when you buy here. I mean, most hollies will
I'll
grow
here.
here,
Yes.
but some of the hollies do better in the northern sections.
That inkberry is a little taller, it looks like.
Yeah, that inkberry can go to 5 foot. So, now, when the tag says it can go to 5, it could go to 8. So you can't really trust those tags. They're not 100%.
No.
So they kind of give you a range. And then the next one is, this is a Hellery holly. Or no, this is the soft touch. This is the soft touch, evergreen rounded. And it grows to 2 to 3 foot tall and wide. And it also has blackberries, but it's a softer leaf. It's not that thorny.
It's very pretty.
holly
It's
leaf.
got a nice shape.
And they have nice shapes, and they don't need to be pruned very much.
And that would
very,
be
very
good.
seldom.
That you
yeah.
didn't need to.
So
Well,
it's low
most hollies don't,
maintenance.
yeah.
Well, low maintenance, yeah. And then this is a Hellery.
Very pretty.
It's a Japanese holly. It's evergreen, and it's dwarf. And it could be 3 to 4 feet tall and wide. But it kind of keeps this nice shape, you know. And
And anytime it says it's dwarf, it could be dwarf for a number of years and
Right.
then not be dwarf anymore.
yeah, that's true. But dwarf, you know, you have to take it with a grain of salt
You do.
sometimes.
Yeah.
so.
That's like
And
the
it-
little evergreen
Yeah,
dwarfs
and
they
it
sell.
also produces the blackberries, and sometimes the berries are small where you'd hardly see them, you know, and then sometimes they're more showy. Okay, this is a Carissa holly. This is the leaf of the Carissa holly, and I have these. I planted these around my foundation when we moved into our house 25 years ago, and they reach 3 to 4 foot tall. Mine are about 4 foot tall and wide. They don't take any care.
You don't, no pruning.
I don't have to prune them. I think I pruned a couple stray, branches
Yes,
or
that would
something
come out.
else up to the window or something, but they don't get disease. The deer don't eat them. They're just a good foundation plant. And they said many of the dwarf varieties don't set berries, and I'm not sure if I've ever seen berries on mine. I've never really looked for them, but I don't think this variety sets berries.
Do you notice the bloom in?
I haven't really paid attention.
Okay.
After 25 years,
Yeah,
I never
well,
paid attention.
but it's not.
I guess I should
being
look this year
considered. Yeah, to see
what
if
they
you
are.
do.
Just take a.
Maybe you have all male.
Maybe I do, or maybe I have all female and no males
Males
around.
around.
Okay, the next one we have is called China Boy holly. It's evergreen. It grows to 8 to 10 foot tall. And you said you had this years
I
ago.
I had the China Girl because
Oh,
I
you
had
China-
berries on
okay.
it.
So this is a China Boy, and it doesn't produce berries, but the China Girl, that China Boy must be a young one. But this China Girl has the same growth habits, but she does set the berries.
Yes, and mine was like a tree.
And they're
Mine
red.
had was
Yeah.
large.
They can get
larger.
pretty tall, 8 to 10 foot. So if they say 8 to 10, it could be 12 or
It
15.
could be, yes,
It depends
yes.
where it's planted. If it really likes where it is, it'll really shoot up there. Okay.
They have pretty red berries on it.
Yeah. Now the sky pencil holly, you see a lot of these. These are great for giving you some height in the garden. And I have mine on the corner of my house.
Yes.
I just kind of,
End of a foundation.
yeah,
planting.
or even in the middle of a bed, to give you some height and color in the winter. So, because it's evergreen, and it'll produce purple berries. So its berries are purple. It's rated zone 5 to 9. So
Have you had berries on yours?
I haven't seen any berries.
I never have seen
I only
berries.
have one though.
Okay.
So
I've never seen berries on a pencil
Yeah,
holly.
they
So
said they're purple.
Okay.
If they have berries. But if I have other hollies that aren't this variety, would they pollinate?
yes, and some of them do.
Some-
I don't know if they all
some
do,
will
but I know that some do.
cross-pollinate?
Yes, they do.
So it just could be that I don't have any male or female.
And
or-
I can't tell you which ones it is now, but I have read that they do cross
I
pollinate.
think I'm going to have to pay more attention to my garden.
Yeah, that would be a
See what
good
I
idea.
But I just never paid attention. Okay, the next one is the Foster holly, and this is a large evergreen, and it grows pyramidal, they call
Yeah.
it. So it's like a,
It's a very beautiful
Beautiful,
holly.
yeah.
But you have to have lots of room.
yes.
It's
yes.
really wide too. It's
it
a
can grow
very
20
wide.
foot tall and 12 foot wide, so it can really get good size.
Oh, it's very
yes,
large.
Yes, but it's
Very
good for
pretty.
screening. Like if you want to screen an area instead of a fence, put
It has
these
beautiful red berries on it.
Oh, the berries are
yes,
deep red,
It
yeah.
is, and fun to bring in at Christmas
Oh
time.
yeah. This
They're
is a
really
great
nice.
one. You can do some trimming and use it for your Christmas decorations. So, and it's zoned 6 to 9, and then we have the there's the berries on that, and see the leaves are so pretty. They're the holly leaf shape you're
It's a
used to
Christmas
seeing.
tree.
Christmas
holly,
tree,
like
Christmas holly.
a Christmas holly.
Yeah. And then this is the Nellie R. Stevens. I do have one of these, and they do get big. It says up to 25 to 30 foot tall, and I think mine's close to, well, it's 24 years old, so I'd say it's a good 20 feet, maybe a little taller. And it's fast growing. This is another one to be great for, edging or fencing, to barrier. It produces red-orange berries if pollinated by a Chinese holly. So I think it needs to be pollinated by a Chinese holly. But it's a beautiful holly, and when the wind blows, it kind of moves too. It's got some movement to it, so it's not.
I
just,
haven't.
It's
I
not just
don't
a
have one
firm,
of those,
sturdy
yeah.
thing. So it's got some movement when the wind blows. So. And then that's the bloom on them. That's
Okay.
the female bloom. And you see the leaf isn't, there's some little sharp edges on the leaf, on the tips there,
Not as much.
but not as bad as some of the Foster holly. So when you clean up around it, it's not as bad as getting stuck by all those holly leaves. So
Okay, and I'm going to talk about our native holly.
native hollies.
And Carl Hunter, who has passed now, but has written quite a few books on our wildflowers and our native trees
yeah.
and so forth. He tells us that we have 5 native holly trees in Arkansas.
All right.
And some grows in certain areas and some are statewide. The first one that he talks about is a Carolina holly, and it's a deciduous, or he calls it deciduous, and I call it, it's evergreen.
Evergreen,
Yeah,
sometimes.
In most areas.
So deciduous means it just loses its leaves
Yeah,
in
and
winter.
some of them don't lose all their leaves.
Yeah.
And then we're going to talk about my favorite, which is a Possum Haw, which I have 2 or 3 trees of the Possum Haw. And these berries stay on it all year. And then when the robins is moving up from the south and heading north with flocks, I know that we have robins here all year.
Yeah, some of them.
But a lot of robins come in a flock and move through. And these will stay on. And the robins, when they come in a flock, it just takes, they eat all the berries.
In a day, they can wipe it out.
Yes, they do. And there's a lot of berries on
Yeah.
it. And if the robins, I've always had them come through and eat the berries off of my Possum Haw. But if they don't, they do start falling. I noticed some as I picked these this morning.
They're starting
I
to
noticed some that had fallen on the ground.
Yeah, well, it's March,
But
so they
they're
should be coming
very,
in.
very pretty. And it's fun to look out the sunroom window and see them out there. And
Right.
beautiful when there's a little snow on them.
Oh, yeah.
Which we've had a couple of
Yeah,
times
not
this
too
year.
much
Yeah.
snow.
No, not too much, but
no.
on there. And then we have the American holly. And the American holly is a beautiful tree, has the shape of the leaves that you see on the Christmas card, has the dark red berries.
Yeah.
And it's used, all of the hollies are used by the wildlife, deer especially.
So when it sets its berries, like in the late in the fall,
In the
or
fall,
about October, November,
Oh,
December?
I probably
Probably
see them in
November.
October.
October, November.
I think that's when you really notice them because it loses
The leaves,
all its leaves. It's
yeah.
definitely
Then
deciduous.
they really show up, yeah.
And most hollies has a gray bark. You can see
Yeah.
that this is gray on that bark. And I always think that they made it gray. Good Lord made it gray so that
it'd
the
show
red
up-
berries would show
show
up.
up better,
Yeah. But the American holly, it's just a beautiful tree, and it's all throughout and Arkansas. It grows though in a lot of shade area.
Can take more
but
shade.
it does produce berries.
Yeah.
But you'll see it mostly in the shade. It's a larger
Well,
larger tree.
they use it a lot in the landscape.
They do.
They really
They
do.
do.
It's a great
It's-
landscape plant.
It's a great landscaper.
Yeah.
And
so it has a lot of color.
then we have the Winterberry, and I think you had a picture of the
I've
Winterberry.
got a Winterberry
Yeah.
here that is with orange. These are the orange berries. So that's a Winterberry orange. So
Okay, and they probably hybridize it to get orange, but the Winterberry, it's deciduous too. It's going to,
and there's the red.
yeah,
That's
and
that's
it's more, well, it gets a little larger than that, but
Well,
a
that's
lot of
probably a
times
very
you
young
see,
one, yeah.
a lot of times you see the Winterberry as just a shrub. And it has, berries are a little thicker than what the Possum Haw, you
Yeah.
can see. It has a different, they set more berries on a limb, thicker, a little closer together.
Really clustered, yeah.
They do.
Yeah.
And the Winterberry has, and none of these have holly-shaped leaves
No,
like
they're
we think on a
Holly,
Christmas
yeah.
card. No, they're little round leaves.
They're a softer leaf.
They're
yeah.
a softer
Yeah.
leaf. Will not stick you. We'll put it that way.
Yeah.
Will
They're
not
nicer
stick you.
leaves.
They're nicer leaves.
Okay.
you could back into them.
But they could get, you know,
Yeah.
some of these, even the smaller ones can get 6 to 8 foot.
Right,
And the
right.
larger ones can get up to 15.
And a lot of people keep the Winterberry trimmed because they use it as in a shrub,
yeah.
definitely a
Yeah, they
shrub,
want to
because of
accent.
its beauty of the berry on
Yeah,
it.
they're just beautiful in the winter.
And the Yupon, I think you have a picture of that.
The Possum
maybe.
Haw, this is what I had for the Possum Haw, but
But yeah,
that's a
okay,
cluster.
and that's extremely that's out in the open.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you go to if you go to Memphis or go to southern Arkansas,
Mm-hmm.
the possum haws are what you see thick along the fence rows or in
Mm-hmm.
the ditches.
Right.
And a lot of the hollies in our the possum haw and that will grow where it's moist.
Yeah, they like moist. Some
yeah,
of them
they
like
do.
a moist area.
And then the last one, I don't know if you have a picture of the Yupon.
No, I don't have
Okay.
the Yukon. I just have the Winterberry.
That's a
so.
favorite of the deer, and it has a little tiny skinny leaf. It completely doesn't look anything like a holly.
Yeah.
And you see a lot of them because they have a really nice berry, Winterberry too.
Yeah.
So you see a lot of those in the nurseries. So we have 5 native.
5 natives.
Yeah.
And are all the natives deciduous? They are?
Yes,
Mostly
they
deciduous?
call the winter. Carl Hunter calls the what I think he calls the Winterberry. He calls it deciduous. He calls the American holly not deciduous, and he calls the Yupon. He calls it slightly deciduous.
Slightly,
I
okay.
think
There's different degrees of.
the ones that I've seen lose all their
Yeah,
leaves, but.
yeah. I guess
I
it
don't
depends where they
It
are in their
depends
their
maybe where
environment.
they are,
You know what?
or what he wants
you know,
to
they-
what he wants
plants-
to say about them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
plants do respond to their environment.
they do
so they
respond.
Do.
But
they are a
my
beautiful plant.
favorite would be the Winterberry and the Possum Haw. And I have the Possum Haw as a backdrop behind my fence. So, and it hangs over.
Yeah, they droop and
Yeah,
you know.
and I don't get the deer to eat it, and I have deer.
Yeah.
But I don't get the deer to eat it, but I get the robins
Yeah.
and some birds to eat
Yeah,
it.
the
The
birds-
birds, it must not be very tasty because
Well, birds don't have a sense
the
of
winter,
taste
well, no, but they,
because they can't taste hot, spicy things either. So,
I know,
yeah.
but I think they like certain things better
well,
than
they do.
others.
Yeah,
They might not taste them, but
they
they
like
like
'em,
them better.
yeah.
And they do not, they'll let this be all winter.
yeah. Well, hollies are a great addition to your landscape. So just think about an area where you need to plant, and
And
you
what-
can find a holly to fit in there.
Right.
So
And
they're
different
great.
shapes and sizes.
And like I
and
said,
what
those
you want.
Clarissa hollies I had on the sides, I had both sides of the house, 24 years, and they're just still beautiful, no problem, no maintenance.
Couldn't
so-
ask for better.
No, I can't ask
No.
for anything low maintenance like that the rest of the garden. So anyway, there are other things we have to do in our garden besides plant our hollies. The annuals, we got to sort through our seed packets, see what you got left in the seed packets, and just because you didn't use your seed packets last year, you just don't have to throw them away.
Still.
They last. I've got some seed packets from several years ago, and then
You just want to,
You
if
just-
it's flowers, just do a little dance.
yeah, you just have to put a few more seeds down. So
Right,
they won't.
right,
They won't.
just in case.
Yeah. So, but don't plant your annuals too soon. I've seen annuals out already. In February, they're selling herbs, and it's like it's too soon. But they want you to buy them, and then you plant them, and then they die with the slight freeze, and then you got to plant them again.
Yeah,
So it's a marketing thing.
It's a marketing
Yeah.
thing.
So don't be planting your annuals yet. Sometimes it's May before you can get them out there. Be safe.
For some of them, it should be
Yeah,
May.
yeah. And then you got to clean up your beds.
Okay, well, cleaning up the beds, I started that yesterday,
Yeah.
and I worked too long because I could hardly
Move.
move today. Yes, I had, I needed to get the grasses cut, my spirea, anything that is a summer bloomer
Right.
that you
Late
need to
summer,
trim up.
late summer.
Late summer, yeah. You
Yeah.
don't want the spring bloomers like the forsythia. You leave them alone
Yeah.
and let them go
Yeah.
and cut them afterwards,
Yeah.
and your azaleas. But I found out I had a lot of grass that had come in, and I did not do a thorough
winter
winter
cleanup.
cleanup.
Yeah.
And so I need to mulch and needs new mulch and
Yeah.
get rid of the weeds.
And the weeds are coming up like crazy already.
The winter weeds are out
the
there, a lot
beds,
of them.
yeah.
And they're blooming and they're going to set seed,
Oh,
and so
yeah.
you're going to have lots more next year.
A lot more. So in the bulbs, you have to start planting your bulbs, your summer blooming bulbs. And you can plant your gladiolas like in 2-week intervals so that you have an extended bloom time. So they don't all bloom at one time. So you can do that. And you want to fertilize your tulips and daffodils with bone meal just as the bulbs come up, at the buds.
Yeah, budding
And then they'll
started.
use that fertilizer. But don't cut your foliage off, at least for 6 to 8 weeks. That's the green foliage is what feeds that bulb and puts that flower back in the bulb. If you cut your foliage off, you won't have flowers next year. You'll have greenery, you'll have leaves. But you
I've
won't
had
have
some
bulbs.
people tell me that they haven't had their daffodils bloom for a couple of years, and possibly they're too thick, or they need to be dug up and replanted, then fertilized next spring and so forth.
But if you cut off the greenery and the green leaves
You
for
wouldn't
6
have-
weeks, you're not
yeah.
going to have a bloom next year.
But
so.
even if they don't cut them
Yeah.
off, they've had some, and so I think they're too
And it could
thick.
be in the shade.
Yeah.
Too much shade.
Not getting
so that
enough
they
sun,
like
whatever.
sun.
Yeah.
So, and
And-
house plants, I haven't even thought about bringing my house plants out, that's for sure.
Oh, way too early for
Yeah.
houseplants to take outside. But now, the houseplants, if you're going to take them outside, you want to be sure that notice if they're for shade, if they're foliage, if they go to shade to sun, because if you could burn them when you do take
yeah.
them out, and we know that they have to have really warm nighttime temperatures,
Yeah.
because most of the houseplants are tropical.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They don't
And-
like it below 50
No,
degrees.
they want.
They don't
no.
like that.
It's
And the same with like your herbs. When you plant your basil outside and it gets below 50, they're just going to sit there and they're not going to respond, and it's going to slow their growth down. So
Right.
it's
And
defeating
when-
the purpose there.
going back to the bulbs too. People will say their elephant ears aren't coming, or something's wrong with the bulb. It takes an elephant ear a long time and really
Well,
warm temperature.
Yeah.
They're very tropical.
Very
most of the
tropical,
elephant
yeah.
ears are.
So, and then lawns, you got to make sure you had all the leaves off the lawns, and you need a pre-emergent for crabgrass control by March 15th. That keeps your crabgrass under control. And you want to just trim it when they start greening up. They're gonna you start mowing, but don't have to do too much with lawns right now. So
You need to reseed if you're.
some people reseed in spring and fall if they have the
fall,
fescue. Yeah,
And I have fescue.
yeah. So we'll probably have to do that in March.
Right.
Yeah.
Perennials, divide now if you want, and fall bloomers now that you have. You can divide your perennials as you're cleaning up your garden
yeah.
and they're starting to come up. I see a lot of my perennials are up. Some are up all winter. You can see where they're at.
Yeah.
They might have a few dead leaves.
Yeah.
Fertilize the peonies. My peonies aren't up yet.
No, I don't think mine are
no.
either. It's too
And the
early.
wisteria and with phosphate. And your grasses and
They need to be cut.
They should be cut back.
Yeah.
And I noticed yesterday that they're starting to green under just a little bit.
Yeah.
And so it's still got plenty of time. They aren't up, they're just green.
Yeah, but you
starting
don't want to
green
cut
up.
any of those green tips off because you're going to live with them all summer then. you know.
Yes. And you don't want the growth to be
Yeah, cut off.
no.
Yeah. So.
I have, and it shows up.
Oh,
then.
yeah. Like I said, you live with it all summer then.
Right. And it's time to get your vegetables, your early spring vegetables started, like cabbage, lettuce. And somebody said, well, the lettuce seeds are so small and the radish seeds are so small. You really don't have to plant them in row. You can just kind of throw them and be sure that they're covered up just with a little.
Let them
you
pop
can
up wherever they want to pop up.
Yeah, and onions, it's time to plant the
Yeah.
little onion sets or the onion
Yeah.
bulbs.
And they're out. I see them out in the garden.
Just don't put in your tomatoes or your
Yeah.
or your peppers or
Yeah.
anything that is warm.
Well, it's more
Time to
sensitive.
plant potatoes. You know, anything that is going to be able to survive the cold
That's cold
weather, because
weather,
we're
yeah.
still going to have cold weather.
Yeah.
Just
It's
don't
only
plant
March.
your-
It's only March.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so in the trees and shrubs, just keep monitoring your moisture. So we haven't had much snow, or we had some rain this winter, but
We've
we
had
haven't
enough moisture.
We've had
I
enough
think.
moisture.
Yeah,
but,
we've had enough.
So don't prune your spring blooming plants or shrubs. You know, you won't have any blooms on them.
No.
And if you have winter damage, just
after.
leave it alone until after they bloom.
Right after they bloom, then you
yeah.
can. What do you have? About 4 weeks, I think, with azaleas. They tell you 3 to 4 weeks
Yeah.
after they bloom.
After they
and then they're setting on new ones.
Well,
then
they
you're
start
going
setting
to,
their new ones late May,
Yeah,
June, so
you wouldn't want to cut them any
no.
later
And
than
y-
that.
Some azaleas bloom later than others, so too. So it just depends when they bloom. So, and then while you're online and looking up gardening information, what you need to do is remember the Master Gardener website is great. It's bentoncountygardening.org, and it's filled with information, all kinds of questions you can find answers to. And the Bella Vista Garden Club meeting in March will be on March 25th. It's the fourth Wednesday. And with social time at 9:30, we're doing it earlier now. And we'll have coffee and pastries, and the program will start at 10. And the meeting will start at 10.
And it's held at the
And
community
it's
church, Bella
Community
Vista
Church
Community
in Bella
Church.
Vista on Lancashire. And this month the program is going to be Gardening in the Golden Years.
I'm there.
Yes, a lot of us are right there. And it's by Dawn Denton. She's a fellow Benton County Master Gardener, and she owns a landscape design firm called Gardens by You and Me. So she works very closely with her clients to make sure the garden they end up with is what they want.
And
So-
not too hard to take
And
care
not- yeah,
of.
low maintenance.
She
She
really
likes
works
low
on
maintenance,
that. That's
yeah.
why she calls it the golden
Yeah,
years.
for the golden years, yeah. And then guests are always welcome. We always welcome guests to the meetings. And I think we had about 5 new members last couple meetings.
I think so.
it's a
We're
great
over
deal.
100 now, I believe.
Yeah, 110 almost.
110.
Yeah, 910. But for more information, you can just go to the Bella Vista Garden Club website, just bellavistagardenclub.com. Everything's on that website that you could possibly want to know about the club, and there's a lot of gardening information. And you got to mark your calendars. Get your calendars out and march the Benton County Plant Sale and Expo. It's going to be 2 days now, and it's going to be April 26th and 27th, 28th.
Well, it says 20.
27th, I don't know. It's the last weekend of April, and it's going to be at the church right off the square.
Square,
in
the
Bentonville.
Methodist Church,
Methodist
right.
Church. So they're starting the plant sale at 1 o'clock on Friday,
Oh, okay.
because last year they were setting up on Friday for the sale on Saturday, and people wanted to buy plants on Friday. So they said, well, why not, just set up on Friday morning and sell the plants Friday afternoon. And then Saturday they have the big expo with demonstrations and information, and they have the yard sale. It's like a garage sale for your
Garage
garden.
sale for the
yeah.
garden, right?
Yeah.
And they've had some nice things.
Oh yeah,
yes.
yeah, wheelbarrows and tools and just
I got a nice
lightly
flower
used
pot
things.
one time,
Yeah,
yeah.
flower pots. They have wonderful things for sale. Excuse me. And then the garden club has its Bella Vista
Plant
Garden
sale.
Club. Their big plant sale is the first Saturday in May, and it's at the Village Wastewater. And this is our biggest fundraiser for the year to
Right.
do our scholarships and all of our beautification things we do.
And the nice thing about most of our plants is it comes out of our
Right.
members' gardens.
You know
and
that'll
so
grow
that
there.
They grow there.
You know it'll grow here. So thank you, Lou, for joining me today
You're welcome.
and sharing all the information about hollies, because we need to add more hollies to our landscaping.
Landscape.
Yeah.
And easy to care for.
Yes. And I hope you've enjoyed the program and will join us again next month. And till then, don't forget to stop and smell the roses.